I want you to just focus on the audio, because from the moment Latifi crashes, focus on what Crofty and Brundle are saying to you and what they are priming you for. Okay, I'll try and point out the things which are blatantly wrong, but I'm just trying to do the snippets of the things that are wrong and see how many of them there are. Here we go.
This now completely changes the context of this race if they can clear the Williams in time and we can have a couple of laps racing to the checkered flag.
There's bound to be a couple, and of course that's where Max Verstappen's much fresher tyres will fire up.
Okay, Brundle, straight from the outset, says there's bound to be a couple. The data says that it's about 5.5 laps that are elapsed from the moment the safety car is deployed until racing can resume in such incidents such as this. Look at Lewis Hamilton. He's just about to start lap 54, which means 5 laps remaining. Okay, the data says it takes on average 5.5 laps. So right away, it is looking extremely likely that it's going to be a safety car finish. Obviously, as the clear-up operation unfolds, the full situation will become clearer. But from the outset, it looks extremely unlikely we're going to see any more racing. And yet, Brundle says there's bound to be a couple. And he also says, and this is where Max's much fresher tyres will light up, giving him that advantage. Now, Max hasn't even changed onto soft compound tyres yet. He's still on the old hard compound tyres. They're not as old as Lewis's, but they're still old hard compound tyres. And straight away, Brundle is telling us that is the advantage that's going to become into play as a result of this.
And give him the confidence on any kind of restart. It depends how there will be. I'm pretty sure on lap 52, obviously because of the slow pace with 5 to go, that they'll probably have a lap or two, as long as they get it. If they get a vehicle on there and get that out.
Again, so he gets it wrong with lap 52, but it's right that there's 5 laps to go now. But he's still suggesting we're probably going to get a lap or two. This is the seed he's sowing into everybody's mind when the data says otherwise. Okay, I'll just say the data is just data. What happens in the real world can sometimes be different, but you can't be suggesting that we're bound to get a lap or two when that actually is unlikely when you look at the data. All right, so we'll carry on. So Verstappen pits for his fresh tyres, and then Brundle says this.
Right, so if there is a restart, Verstappen now has fresh soft tyres. Lewis has heavily used hard compound tyres. They will let any lap runners through on the safety.
Uses the term any lap runners through. They will let any lap runners through. Okay, he stopped himself to then say that line. Really, he stumbles over it a little bit.
Car restart, and he will presumably end up. Well, they had nothing to lose. Once again, Red Bull had nothing to lose there.
Red Bull had nothing to lose there.
Verstappen tucked up behind Sebastian Vettel in the Aston Martin there.
But he won't be on the restart.
But he won't be on the restart. Again, Crofty's affirming that it's highly likely we're going to see a restart.
We're on lap 54 of 58 here. They've got to clear that debris away, and the fire extinguishers have obviously gone off because the brakes, I'm sure, were getting very, very hot. But they've also got to let the lapped cars unlap themselves. Just at the back of my mind, I wonder if we're going to get any racing laps in this race. Wait and see.
Okay, this is coming round completing lap 54. So we're just about to go on to lap 55. Listen to Martin Brundle.
Will we get any more racing laps or not? What jeopardy at the end of this Grand Prix, the end of this World Championship. Will there be any more racing laps if there?
Okay, so the jeopardy, they're building that up. All right. Will there be any more racing laps?
Then Verstappen has got the tyres to really do something with them. Will they?
If there are, Verstappen has got the tyres to really do something with them. What if they're not? Because you don't explain the situation if there's not. So you are sowing the seed into everybody's mind that if we're going to see this race, then Verstappen is going to be massively advantaged. This is what we could see if they're going to restart the race. No part of you is saying if we can't go racing again, Lewis Hamilton is going to be an 8-time world champion. You're watching history if this race does not finish. If this race does not restart and has to finish behind the safety car.
Will they let the lap runners through?
Brundle asks the question, will they let the lap runners through? I've proven in my other videos, look at the one I released yesterday, you have to. It's mandatory. You have to let the lap runners through. Okay? The regulations do not state otherwise at all. At all. It is a mandatory procedure. Okay? But he's making the suggestion. Will they or won't they?
Well, they always do let the lap runners through, and in between Hamilton and Verstappen, Norris, Alonso, Ocon, Leclerc and Vettel.
So again, this is the time where all they do is focus on 5 cars that are in between Hamilton and Verstappen. There's 8 lapped cars at this stage. They're easy to identify, okay? Because who is running behind Sebastian Vettel? Well, there's still Daniel Ricciardo, there's still Lance Stroll, there's still Mick Schumacher. So if Sebastian Vettel has been lapped, then it's fair to say that those 3 cars that are behind Vettel, they've been lapped too. But there is no reference to them ever. Okay? So why?
Yes, but if they do that, it extends the safety car period.
That's utter rubbish. You don't extend the safety car period. That is the mandatory time that it takes because that's what it takes. It's not extending the safety car period.
But that's what they always do. Take the lap runners out of the way so they're not interfering in play.
Again, listen to the reason given. That's what they always do. They take them out of the way so they're not interfering with play. Check out my other video if you've not already watched it. In fact, there's 2. I've done 2 safety car videos within the last week, and they both prove the same thing, that these are just lies coming from Brundle and Crofty.
That was the big key here. Mercedes, for the second time, keeping Lewis Hamilton out, whilst Max Verstappen pitted. Red Bull had nothing to lose.
Red Bull had nothing to lose. Have you heard that before?
Hamilton potentially losing track position, and in this case, if we don't go racing again because you can't overtake under the safety car, he would have lost the World Championship.
So you're suggesting a scenario that didn't happen, that being, had Hamilton have pitted and lost track position, and then we not go racing again because you can't under the safety car, he'd have lost the World Championship. So number 1, he didn't pit. Number 2, he didn't lose track position. So if we don't go racing because you can't, we have to finish behind the safety car, Hamilton is the world champion. Why have you twisted things around and presented it in the way that you did?
The safety car's not going full gas down the straight.
Copy, Lewis, understood.
His tyres are cooling. He needs more pace, more heat into those tyres.
This is awful for Lewis then with those hard compound and heavily used tyres. So.
Okay, we are stating this is awful for Lewis. Well, actually, if this finishes behind the safety car, it's not really a problem, is it? Because you don't really need to fire them tyres up because you finish behind the safety car. What's awful for Lewis is the fact that the safety car is going slow, and if it's purposefully going slower than it normally would, that would indicate that it is purposely dragging its heels to ensure that the time is there for a final racing lap. And that in itself is a manipulation of the safety car operation. Now, I can't back that up with data. I don't have a normal lap time for the safety car around this version of the Abu Dhabi circuit, so I can't compare that. But Brundle is jumping to the conclusion, oh, this is awful because this causes a tyre problem for Lewis, when the real problem here is the safety car purposefully going slow to ensure this last racing lap, and actually carrying out this mandatory safety car procedure in a skewed manner that is different to how it is normally carried out.
Will they let the lap runners through? I don't think it's
Asking the question, will they let the lapped runners through? You have to. You have to.
absolutely mandatory, but
it is mandatory. Listen to what he's saying. How many times has he said that?
that's normally on a wet day that they don't.
Utter rubbish. It's complete irrelevant. Utter rubbish.
And if so, how long will they wait for those lap cars to get out of the way? If they wait...
Okay, irrelevant. They get released, and once they're all released, the safety car completes a further one complete lap. Alright, so asking how long will they wait, well, we know the answer to that as to what needs to happen, but he's throwing it out there as if it is some unknown. Okay, the only thing unknown is, would the race director make the safety car do an additional lap if they've not caught the pack? But actually, you look at this, you look at the circumstance, and it's clear to see that the race director wouldn't. If he can get the race on, he would, but he's still got to follow the mandatory procedures. All right, so throwing it out there, how long will they wait, is convincing the viewer of what?
For those lap cars to get out of the way. If they wait for them to catch the pack up, which they don't have to do, then I don't think we'll get a racing lap. If they let them through, we could get one racing lap.
If they wait for them to catch the pack up, then I don't think we'll get a racing lap. If they let them through, I think we will get one racing lap. Okay, so this is what Brundle states. Okay, they've just played the Perez retirement messages, and then we hear this.
And lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake.
It's not mandatory in the regulations, which leaves Verstappen with a lot of work to do then.
Okay, the reason lapped cars are not, they've been given the instruction, lapped cars you're not allowed to overtake yet. Okay, the reason being, there's marshals on track at turn 14, so you're not going to release lapped cars. But look at what Brundle and Crofty have immediately jumped to, is, and lapped cars will not be released. It's not mandatory. Yes, it is. So that is a complete lie. And then they jump straight to, which means that Max Verstappen has a lot to do. So that is all fiction. It's not possible. That's not part of the safety car procedure, and it causes fixed outcomes. You can't restart racing like we are now, due to everything that has been explained in my last video.
The lapped cars won't be allowed to overtake, which means that there are plenty of cars in between Hamilton and Verstappen for Verstappen to fight his way through.
Lies. It doesn't mean that at all. It means we're in no way able to go racing yet, because there's men on the track. And look at what they're telling you. They're telling you the lapped cars aren't being released, which means it leaves him with a lot of work to do. It doesn't mean that at all. You categorically cannot go racing as we are.
Norris, Alonso, and also Ocon and Leclerc and Sebastian Vettel.
None of which are for position, of course.
No.
They're obliged.
So they list the lapped cars. 5 cars of 8 that are in between Hamilton and Verstappen. And Brundle It goes on to say none of them are for position. They will get blue flags and have to move out of the way. Again, he is creating a scenario which is in no way valid. The rules, the regulations do not permit that. They do not permit races to be restarted in this manner due to how I've explained it in my other videos.
To get out of the way, but Lewis will be long down the road.
That I suppose is the compromise that race control have made here by giving the best possible chance for racing to the finish rather than finishing behind the safety car. They've decided the lap cars will stay where they are.
That's an absolute lie, because they've decided not to release the lapped cars yet because there are men on the track. But look at what Brundle and Crofty are saying. Why are they saying that? Why would you invent that situation? You are the commentators of a global sporting event. You have knowledge of the sport. You have knowledge of the procedures. You are inventing totally fictitious reasons. Look at how many times this has happened. Go back over this, count them. Count right from the time Latifi crashes to the end of this video, how many times they have lied to you specifically about being able to restart this event, and the reasons that they're given and how they are dressing it up to enable, well, to make you think that you are going to see this. Oops, let's go back again.
Cancel that. Lap cars will not be allowed to overtake.
Yeah, of course. Typical decision.
And this is F1 TV interjecting with the radio message, because what they are doing is generating the narrative of Red Bull being hard done by the decision not to release the lapped cars when that decision was made on the grounds of safety. So it's nothing to do with a race director deciding that this is how he's going to restart a race. It's entirely to do with the fact that the track's not in a condition to be able to release lapped cars. But F1 TV have chosen this specific broadcast to show to the world, and not ever told the world the reason why Massey has not released the lapped cars.
It's classic.
I'm not surprised.
I'll try and look at this objectively. We should get one lap of racing here.
Why should we get one lap of racing here? Look at where we are. We've just come by the scene of the crash. At this moment in time, there are marshals departing the track still, so you still cannot release the lapped cars. Okay, you have to wait for the all clear to be given from the clerk of the course. That then gets given to Massey that the track is clear and safe. Massey then passes on the message to the teams to instruct the lapped cars to be released. That is not going to happen prior to the start of lap 57. Those lapped cars are not going to be released until lap 57 at the earliest. And that's not even going to be at the start of lap 57. This is all going to take time. They're going to be midway round lap 57 before all that takes place. Okay, so lap 57 is the earliest point of release for those cars, which means lap 58 is that mandatory safety car lap as required by the regulations in order for those lapped cars that have been released to be given the opportunity to make it back round. That's mandatory on the grounds of sporting fairness. There is absolutely, at this stage, absolutely no chance of a resumption to racing. And Crofty is telling us that he is looking at objectively, and that is, we should see one lap of racing. What do Red Bull want? Either this or a finish behind the safety car. What is that? That is ridiculous.
If we allowed the lap cars to overtake, we'd have no laps of racing to the checkered flag.
Why is that, and why don't you explain that?
So what do Red Bull want? And Max Verstappen and Gianpiero Lambiase as race engineer, do they want the chance, or do they want to finish behind the safety car with no overtaking?
Okay, so why are you framing it like that? Why are you not telling the watching world that this is the situation we're now in? We are now going to see a safety car finish. The notion of restarting racing like this is impossible. It's not in the regulations. You cannot restart racing with lap cars in situ. And he's saying, well, we either restart racing like this and get one lap, or we finish behind the safety car. Now, what do you want? So, do you want something that's not allowed to happen? Or do you want to finish behind the safety car? What would you prefer? Thanks for the options there, Crofty. Thanks for the options. What are you convincing the world of?
Because I think that is the decision that has come from race control.
You think that that is a decision that's come from race control. So you have made the assumption that race control have said, we won't bother complying with the regulations. We will leave lapped cars in situ and just start racing again, even though we're not allowed to do that, rather than finish behind the safety car. That is what you think has happened, do you?
And personally, this is the decision that gives them the best chance if they want it.
Yeah.
Personally, this is the decision that gives Red Bull the best chance. Think about what you're saying there, Crofty.
I mean, the regulation, as I said, they may allow the lap cars through. It's not mandatory.
The regulations say they may. Okay, the regulations say if it is safe to do so. The race director will give the message to the cars. Lap cars may now overtake. That's what it says. If it is safe to do so, and if it's not safe to do so, it's not safe to go racing again. Okay, so Brundle saying, "Oh, the regulation says they may," so that's what you're saying there, Brundle. You're saying something that's fiction. It's a lie.
To point it out, but as you point out, Crofty, there'd be no racing laps if they let the lap cars through, because.
Okay, so there will be no racing laps if they let the lap cars through, but you can't restart racing like this. So it's a safety car finish. Simple as that. But what you're doing, you're continually gaslighting. And then this is key.
I think the safety car will come in at the end of this lap, and there will be one racing lap.
I think the safety car will come in at the end of this lap, and there will be one racing lap. Okay, so keep that in mind, because think of all the times now that you've watched through this, think of all the times it's been suggested to you, you're going to see more racing, you're going to see more racing, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, you're going to see more racing, we're going to see the safety car come in at the end of this lap, and you will see one more racing lap.
They'll all get blue flags, I would imagine.
So there you go. This all get blue flags, I would imagine, total fiction. It's not the first time you've heard that. Total fiction. But again, it's just embellishing the lie.
Christian and Michael.
Yes, go ahead, Christian.
Yeah, why aren't we getting these lap cars out of the way?
Just give me, well, because Christian, just give me a second. Okay, my big one is to get this incident clear.
You only need one racing lap.
So that is all part of, to some extent, it very much feels a bit scripted, that does, staged. But we'll carry on.
Well, I assume Christian's talking about then, getting the lap cars out of the way, not clearing the incidents away.
Yeah, I mean,
that's waffle. Okay, the reason you are not releasing the lapped cars because it's not safe to do so. You couldn't have done it on lap 56 because there were men on track, and this message has been recorded earlier than this and chosen by F1 TV to broadcast to the world right now because it actually builds a narrative, okay? And so they've fed this in at this moment in time to build us to the narrative, and you know that what they've then used to try and explain that away is, oh, I've assumed that means clearing the moving the cars out of the way and not clearing the. It was just waffle, just waffle.
In all of the cars in front of Max will get blue flags and are duty bound to get out of the way, but they're all in a reasonable fight themselves, aren't they?
So again, they are embellishing the lie by affirming the notion of blue flags to those 5 cars that are in between Lewis and Max, and you cannot go racing in this situation. But they are once again trying to convince everybody that you can, and when you do, they'll all get blue flags. None of that is in any way valid.
Well, so here we go. Normally, you know, you'd see the race leader backing up the pack a little bit when the safety car goes. I would imagine on this occasion, if we do get a lap, Martin, Hamilton will want to be disappearing off into the distance as fast as he can.
Yeah.
Okay. If we do get a lap, we are on lap 57. The lapped cars have not been released. Even if they are all released now, lap 58 is a safety car lap. They are saying, oh, we normally see the lead car backing everybody up, but I imagine if we do get a racing lap, he'll want to be disappearing off into the distance. We cannot restart, but even now they are suggesting that we can. What are they doing? What are they doing? We know the rules of the sport. We know how we've seen it every single time. And why are they convincing us that we can now see racing happening? It is not possible. You release all the lapped cars now. Lap 58 is a safety car lap. We are watching history. Lewis Hamilton is an 8-time world champion.
I don't see any way Verstappen can do anything with that, but indeed,
I don't see any way Verstappen can do anything with that. Lewis Hamilton is an 8-time world champion. This is now a safety car finish.
The safety car coming in this lap, we think it could do.
Is the safety car coming in this lap? We think it should do, could do. Why do you think that? Have you seen those lapped cars released? Have you ever seen before the safety car come in before those lapped cars have been released? Has that safety car performed the mandatory safety car lap? No, you haven't. No, you haven't seen those lapped cars released. And yet you are saying you think the safety car will come in this lap. You think it could do, should do. You said that back here as we were going through turns 2 and 3 as well. You have said it numerous times before that you anticipated we were going to see a racing lap or 2. Okay? So you think it should do, could do.
Is there any more debris to clear up? But we're halfway round already.
Race control are now saying lapped cars to overtake the safety car. So Norris and Alonso and Ocon and Leclerc and Vettel.
So again, listing the 5, and as you list the 5th one,
it's ending. And it's ending. Wow.
Mate.
Brundle smoothly cuts across, and it's ending, and it's ending. Wow. Wow. Really authentic there, Martin. The fake surprise. So you've predicted something. You've told us it's going to happen. You've told us it's going to happen. You told us what you think is going to happen, and then it happens, and you're surprised it's happened. We think the safety car is coming in at the end. I think that the safety car will come at the end of this lap, and we will get one racing lap. We think the safety car will come at the end of this lap. We think it should do, and it's ending. Wow. The same as saying this is going to happen, 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 this is going to happen. It's happening! Wow! What are you surprised about?
So, there's confusion, but the safety car is coming in at the end of this lap. So
There's confusion. Okay, why is there confusion? Why are you not saying, well, this is not right? There's 3 more cars that have not been released yet, and they've not done the mandatory safety car lap. You're commentators on the sport, you know the procedures, you know what needs to be done. When you are seeing something live, firsthand, that's not being done in the way that it needs to be done, why aren't you saying, this isn't happening in accordance with what needs to be done? Instead of doing that, you're going, oh, there's a bit of confusion, but you know what? We're going to see a race. Wow!
back markers allowed to overtake the safety car, and that has now left Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen.
Michael, this isn't right.
It has left Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen side by side. Hamilton will be ahead. Verstappen is absolutely desperate to get on with this on that soft compound tyre. We're going to have 1 lap of racing to decide the championship in 2021. Hamilton.
There you go. I wonder how we got to that point. I wonder how we got to, we're going to have 1 lap of racing to decide the championship in 2021. You couldn't script it, could you? You couldn't script it, could you?
Yes! Yes! Oh my God! Yes! Woo! Yes! Oh my God!
You couldn't make it up, could you? There's going to be so much acrimony.
You couldn't make it up, could you?
Going forward now about that procedure at the end. Red Bull played every card they could because they hadn't got enough speed, they hadn't got track position, they played it really smart. Mercedes played it cautious out front.
And again, it's a card game again. Red Bull played every card they could. They had nothing to lose. They played some clever cards. These are rather strange terms, don't you think? Authenticity, congruency in terms of what actually takes place and how people describe what is taking place. We need to actually look into some of that.
But to release the lap cars and end the safety car and give us 1 racing lap, wow, how quickly did that turn around? What was Christian Horner saying to us? The racing gods need to shine down on us. They certainly did.
We need a miracle, said Christian Horner. The miracle arrived.
I'll let you into a secret. It wasn't a miracle. Okay, that wasn't a miracle. That was contrived. It was done by design. And when things are contrived, it's not a miracle.